Hi, my name is Nikola Visick, and my presentation is about gender discrimination and equal pay in the workforce. The Great Gender Divide. We as humans are already different. We're different by nature. Whether that's our height or our skin color, it's something we can't control. So why do we keep on separating ourselves? Ever since history was written, women have never been given the same worth as men. They've always been second. They've always been in the men's shadow. There's never been an equal platform for both of us to stand on to show true equality. This all started to change in the 1900s. Women demanded the right to vote. They fought hard and they've won. Thanks to the 19th Amendment, women were allowed to vote. This was a huge case for civil rights, and thankfully it passed. John F. Kennedy was a great president when it came to civil rights. He pushed through his campaign for something called the New Frontier. And in the New Frontier, he had something called the Equal Pay Act. And what the Equal Pay Act, what it did was it abolished wage disparity and made it so that women were not getting underpaid for the same job as their male counterparts. This looked promising for the future, but companies still found a way around it. They still managed to not pay women, and they still managed to not give women jobs. The perfect case was Weeks versus Southern Bell. Lorena Weeks saw an open position in a company for a switchman. She was denied the position for the reason that she was a woman. The company used the Georgia state law to allow her not to proceed in getting that job. What that Georgia state law said was any job where it requires a woman to lift more than 30 pounds, she will not be able to do. It just so happens that at this company, she had to lift something that was 31 pounds. After years of appeals, Lorena could finally say she won. She was also awarded back pay in the sum of $31,000 for the salary she did not receive. And in today's time, that's roughly around $200,000. This was a huge case for women's rights and civil rights in general. This also led the way for women to hold jobs where they didn't have to be dependent of a man. They could afford stuff for themselves and their families. Another way companies bypassed the Equal Pay Act is in the case of Price Waterhouse and Hopkins. And Hopkins was denied a promotion for the fact that she didn't act like a proper lady. Her male co-workers felt as if she wasn't the ideal woman of the time. She talked differently, she dressed differently, she walked differently, and she wasn't the cookie cutter woman of her time, so they didn't feel like she was able to carry out that job. But thankfully, the courts ruled in her favor of Hopkins. Even though the Equal Pay Act was signed over 50 years ago and Ann Hopkins fought over 30 years ago, we're still dealing with these same issues today. The most recent issue is the U.S. women's soccer team. The soccer team made an argument that they generated over $20 million more in revenue than the men's soccer team, yet their salaries didn't reflect it. They were only getting paid a fraction of what the men were receiving for salaries. The women's soccer team has been more successful than the men's. The women's soccer team finished top 3 in all the World Cups that they've accomplished or they've attended, and they've medaled in all the Olympics that they've been a part of. They've actually won gold 4 out of 5 times. Huge feat that the men's soccer team has never accomplished. Yet they're still underpaid. It's unbelievable that we're still dealing with this discrimination today, especially at this level. But there is a light at the end of this tunnel for gender equality. Publix. In the 90s, Publix went through a couple lawsuits. One of the biggest ones was for gender discrimination because women didn't feel like they were getting paid enough and weren't getting promoted enough to upper management and corporate. And what this happened was Publix actually lost the lawsuit, and ever since then they've been working on promoting females. And not just that, it's been available for all the races. Whether you're white, whether you're black, Hispanic, they've done a great job doing that. They've also done a great job hiring people with disabilities. So it just goes to show you that how one strong case can affect so many people and so many lives that it doesn't even have to be a woman to do it. It can be anybody. And just before that one case, it helped out another great company. It's actually nationwide. They've taken great strides for equality. They actually work with the Human Rights Campaign, and what they do is they actually help the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community, and we've donated millions to help this community just get the word out there and understand like these are normal people too. Like they deserve the same treatments as the rest of us. We've also scored 100% on the Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Equality Index for 10 consecutive years. So that's a great sign for the future ahead, and I actually work for both companies, and I'm proud to say that I'm an employee of these companies that are actually leading the way for our generation, more generations to come, and hopefully other companies will follow the footsteps.